How can you personalize your messaging to physicians for greater prescription intent? What are people saying about your brand? How can you make your marketing efforts more precise and effective? These and many more questions are answered on this podcast, which is here to serve as a playbook for all your pharma marketing needs. As your host, Saumya Prakash, co-founder of Multiplier AI Solutions, sits across pharma industry's top experts. This is your place to get all the insights about Gen AI, data, and beyond.
So, hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pharma Marketing Playbook Data, Gen AI, and Beyond. Your go to podcast for mastering pharmaceutical marketing, data analytics, and AI trends. Join industry leaders as we explore cutting edge strategies, the role of emerging technology, and how data driven insights are transforming the pharma landscape. I am Saumya Prakash, co founder at Multiplier AI, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Mr. Ranjit Sahoo. We are honored to have Mr. Ranjit Sahoo with us. He is a seasoned marketing leader in the pharmaceutical industry with a proven track record of driving success across various organizations. Mr. Ranjit holds an MBA from Tasmac University and B Pharma from Utkal University, which laid the foundation for his remarkable career in pharma. Mr. Ranjit's journey began as a product executive at Genex Pharma Limited, followed by a role as a senior therapy executive at Intas Pharma. He then advanced to product manager at Eris Life Sciences, where he demonstrated his expertise in product strategy and market positioning. He further honed his leadership skills as senior manager to assistant general manager at Cadila Pharmaceuticals, contributing significantly to their growth and success. Currently, he serves as the head of marketing at Walter Bushnell, where he continues to lead with innovation and a strategic vision, making significant impact in the pharma landscape. So we are thrilled to dive into his career journey, learn from his insights, and explore on his view of how the pharma world and especially marketing is evolving. So welcome to the show, Mr. Ranjit.
Thank you, Soumya, for this wonderful event when you talk about.
Great.
Please.
So, your journey has started and it has taken you from being a product executive to leading today as head of marketing at Walter Bushnell. So, we would request you to share some of the key moments and decisions that helped you shape your path in the industry.
Very true. I always had a intent to work for marketing as it is the driving force in any organization. Being in the industry for nearly 2 decades, having expertise in different segments, we talk about like gastroenterology, urology, orthopedics, multispecialty, and presently gynecology, has truly evolved in due course of time. And I'm a hardcore marketer with key focus on brand building, and that is the key for success of any company.
Very true. Yeah, of course, branding and product positioning is the core for pharma. Very truly said that. So, I'm sure in your last 2 decades as a veteran in the industry itself has seen a significant evolution in marketing strategies. You know, the way we have approached traditional marketing has changed so much course, and specifically if we look at the last 5 to 7 years. So, how do you think the role of a marketeer has changed from the traditional method of marketing and looking at today's data driven approaches? How is your view on that?
Very apt question. Today's era is more into data driven as it gives a lot of insights and give a clear cut approach to any unsolved problem and to foresee the problem well in advance. We need to be very much proactive and very importantly speed up execution, which is the key to the success in this cutthroat competitive market, because any company where there is speed up execution is there, fast moving, and they deliver compared to competitors.
True. So, when you say fast moving and data driven strategies, anything that you would like to bring into perspective as an example, how you have dealt with this in your experience?
Like in day to day, what happens? we get a lot of in terms of data insights from many other companies. When you are more into in terms of data driven, you have a more focused approach, and which is purely backed by in terms of data, which helps us to execute further.
True. Any example that comes to your mind where you took a decision and you had a lot of data flowing in and that helped you in your marketing campaign?
Yes, very true. In terms of as we go for many in terms of IQVIA data, you must be aware the stockist data, wherein we were focusing in particular specialty for particular brand, wherein we got up data from the IQVIA, wherein one particular specialty we were missing out, and that data helped us to gain the entry in that specialty, and it paid much of dividends.
True. I think that's another area where, in hindsight, the investments that the industry or the leaders make in data, it may not seem very obvious or it is not something very natural to most of the companies to look into data investments as a strategic component. But I think when we hear from thought leaders, it's increasingly becoming so crucial. And as you rightly said, it pays in multiples the dividends of the investment that has gone into the data marketing strategy. So how do you personally see that these initiatives are always honed within the organization regularly rather than just when we need it in the nick of time we're trying to do the things?
No, no, it is very much required. Any company is totally depend on the totally in the data driven. If you are doing anything in terms of gut, it doesn't always sounds right. When data driven, then what makes you are also in terms as a thought leader, you are convinced, an entire team is convinced, and entire management is convinced to do it and execute it, and truly it gives the profound results. That is more important.
So, when, I mean, of course, you said it rightly that management looks always for factual, data driven, I think, signposts that, yeah, this is the right thing. And with this kind of an approach, we can assume that we can reach here and we can plan in that way. But this is a road which is also full of challenges when it comes to pharmaceutical sector, because at the same time we have to maintain and navigate the complexity of compliance, because innovation is important but at the same time we have to stay within the compliance boundaries. So how do you deal with these things, if you can share any practical experiences with the audience?
Truly, getting customer insights the key towards success. So getting customer profiling is the cornerstone towards your success. Apart from field people who are our eyes and ears, getting the competent insight with regular interaction with the customers gives us the valuable insight which help in maintaining the compliance along with innovation. As truly when we talk about when we go to the field regularly, as I'm in gynecology, we meet lot of customers. But in terms of getting valuable insight in terms of therapy, what latest innovation is coming in, and directly hearing it from the horse's mouth, it becomes very much pertinent. Suppose we want to launch one brand. Correct. If you are getting what is that there is a need gap, when we interact with the customers, they only let us know that which are the brand which can be launched, and it perfectly fit into our therapy or portfolio.
True. And how do you generally collect this data? As you mentioned that you deal with gynecology solutions. So how do you interact with these patients? How do you get their insights through only offline channels, or do you think that digital channels also have an important role to play? Some of the thoughts on this. How can we capture the customer's interest?
In terms when I talk about there are two per se. When I talk about in terms of first customers, when I talk about in terms of doctors, then second is terms of patients when I talk about. And as you know that many companies are into it is a market it goes through doctors only. In terms which I was talking about again, I want to reinforce the same that when of the field people which are already there in the market, they are our eyes and ears. From there we get the insights because and apart from it top notch doctors when I talk about during the field visit we also to get the knack of the market we visit the field, we get the exact situation when we interact with the doctor, then we get to know which are the things which we can be taken forward. Yes, with the digitalization in terms of data from the patients, it becomes very much pertinent. Now that in terms of with AI coming in, you know that lot of being things being like chatbots and all, it is coming up. If you are providing customized solution to the patients also in regional languages, it becomes more prominent, they can hear it. Suppose no one is all well versed with say about English or Hindi, if you understand in terms of with AI, they can understand the languages, regional languages, it becomes more pertinent, and they know the exact thing of it.
Yeah, that's true. I think the language barrier is something which we have faced a lot, with the various states, and when it comes to tier two, tier three, suburban areas. These are the real challenges for medical representatives also. How do we make the information, go from the physicians to the patients? And I think, yeah, language barrier can be broken down with the help of AI, and that can be a game changer. Any other application that you see where data analytics and Gen AI particularly can have an exciting implication for the healthcare vertical?
Means like anything particular in
In
terms.
Gen AI, for instance, some of the pharmaceutical companies are utilizing Gen AI in their R&D labs. They are trying to cut short the cycle for drug discovery. In some other areas, they are looking at commercialization and they are trying to use Gen AI for their commercialization aspects. So, in that context, do you have any opinion on where it could have a massive impact, say specific to gynecology or the women health related audience? Because really speaking, realistically speaking, women's health has been an underspoken topic, not only within India, I think globally. And pharma companies see also that as a big opportunity of growth, creating an awareness around those issues which have not been spoken well, and also putting a lot of R&D money in those areas. So, how do you think data analytics and Gen AI could help in such areas which are so important?
Very true. Going forward, it is very much important that AI is going to the stay and it will be the main curve the path. Very importantly, it is now like when I talk about in terms of doctors doing clinical expertise, in terms of diagnosis, when I talk about. But with the help of AI, we are able to diagnose properly. It further, apart from the diagnosis in day to day what they are making, with AI they are confirming the same, and better diagnosis and better treatment options are available now. And that is why, particularly in gynecology, when you go for, like they are doing for female patient in pregnancy, they are going for ultrasono and all, ultrasonography. But what happens? They are doing using the Gen AI in terms of AI application to further, if in many cases, not only in terms of gynecology, like detecting of cancer, through AI you can detect this well in advance, about 10 years down the line. If at all a person is going to suffer from transplant, you can make it now. This is how it is getting. As you rightly said also, during R&D, it will shorten the time. But again, very much important aspect is that you need to have that human approach, that is important. End of the day, AI can support this is machine learning, but clinical diagnosis is very much important. It can be amalgamated with AI to give the results which is important.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's true. I mean, the clinical decisions cannot be overruled because no matter what we may say, there could be critical inputs that maybe the machine misunderstands or the machine is overlooking. It may not attach the right weightages to certain critical risk factors where the expertise comes in from a clinical perspective. However, I think a lot of organizations are today talking about automating and mechanizing the administrative part of clinical treatment, making the prescriptions, follow up on the patients, appointments fixing, or giving them general counseling, or in terms of treatment protocol, how should they take their medication. Now, these are things which are generally not very complex in nature and yet consume a lot of physicians' time, and at the same time they have a direct correlation to the efficacy of the medication and what impact it will have on the patient's outcome. So, for a pharma company, ultimately they also want the patient to recover, and that shows the efficacy of their drug and their treatment. So, in that perspective, today a lot of organizations are looking at investing their AI dollars and looking at how do they easen out the burden on the doctor's shoulders.
Very true. I want to further reinforce the statement what you have told now. Like many companies, not only in terms multinationals, Indian companies are also started in terms of investing in AI, because down the line this is going to the stay. Because in terms when I talk about in terms of clinical diagnosis, in terms when I talk about in terms of future drug development, in terms of providing individual solutions to particular patients now. So that is the need, that is the thing. In every industries, AI is being amalgamated. So also in our industry or pharma industry, because customized individual solution if we can provide, it is not possible. If we cannot go by one size fits all in terms of pharma, isn't it? If we are providing curated in terms of diagnosis, curated in some treatment to particular patient, particularly the patient develop and is out of the danger. That is more important.
That's right. And I think along with the AI also we may need to invest into the marketing team's skills being aligned with the AI advent, because what we have seen traditionally is the marketing teams generally focus on marketing alone, but today I think the need of the hour is also to make marketing technology adaptive by nature. They should be able to adopt AI trends, they should be able to look at social media trends and then take the decisions using data analytics as a digital transformation guideline rather than just another technology sitting somewhere. So, in that regard, what is your opinion on how marketing teams of the future should be trained, how they should be skilled, what they need to learn to be able to adopt themselves for future?
In this fast changing environment, I see marketing teams evolving significantly in terms of digital approach. But very importantly, this should not be missing out on the human touch, which is far beyond the digital reach. They need to combine the both to get the maximum mileage of it. In terms, there is lot of things in terms of digitally, bundles of things coming on. We need to filter it out, which is important and what is good from a brand for the company to take it further. Because there's a bombardment in terms when I talk about it is coming, knowledge is bombardment, but what is what it fits in to our segment that needs to be taken, then only we can take this further.
So, given this context, as head of marketing at Walter Bushnell, what emerging trends do you believe will define the future of marketing in the next decade? Maybe from a
See,
women's health
very
perspective.
importantly, it's a very pertinent question, Soumya. Pharmaceutical marketing will visualize a sea change within the next decade due to excessive influx of AI in every field. As told before, human touch along with digital amalgamation will be the trump card for the success of the individual, brand, and company. With load of information flowing in, we need to filter out and picking and choosing which suits our brand and organization, and that will help us creating our brand identity and creating a niche of itself in the market which is pertinent.
So, when we say personalization along with AI, if we take it in context, say you're launching, you deal so much with the hormone therapies and with so many other areas of women's health, whether it's menopause or conception. So let's take any as an example. So any guidelines, supposing you're launching a new therapy or a drug release for one of the issues, how would you suggest that a marketing team should look at combining AI with that human touch so that it is something which is a winner?
Very true. When we talk about in terms of particular molecule, suppose boom molecule now in terms of dydrogesterone, which is being in terms of use being threatened miscarriages, being it is being used. Dydro, it is being used. Going forward for 60 years, only plain dydrogesterone in terms of 10 milligram was used. Correct. Of late, in terms of sustained release formulation like 20 milligram and 30 milligram also has come to the market. But in terms, when you talk about amalgamation of AI is very much important depending on the need of the patients. We cannot give it to the sustained release formulation to all patients which is required. Right? That is why when I talk about you need to talk to the customers and get their insight which all in terms of indication they can go for the plain therapy and which all indication they can go for in terms of SR formulation. That needs to be segregated. And very important that in terms of which all indication they can go for. So that is important when you're getting the data from in terms of AI, which are the molecules like I told, many more molecules are also there in the pipeline, which can help a better health to the patients. That is the main thing we are looking at.
So, do you foresee a future where everybody gets maybe the same doctor is prescribing different molecules or treatment options depending on their say genetic conditions or even their physical condition at the time of treatment? That level of personalization will be possible.
Yes, yes, going forward, very much possible. Many companies are working towards it also. As I told before, also, customized solution per particular therapy, customized solution for the patients can be made. We cannot suppose a person is suffering from diabetic. Lot of molecules are there in the market, right? When you talk about triple combination, double combination, single combination, but depending on the patient's need, if we can titrate the dose, right? And it is nothing like that. The clinical expertise of the doctor is a must, but AI will further reinforce, it will support. Ultimately the decision has to be taken by the doctor to go forward. That is why, suppose in the clutter we have to declutter it, only two medications are enough for this patients, that can be carved out. That is more important.
True. I think that's a very good use case where you don't need to over medicate a patient. Sometimes also decision fatigue could also be there on the physician because he's continuously seeing a stream of patients, and mind may get influenced by seeing say a set of five patients continuously with the similar traits, and a sixth patient comes in where the traits are not exactly falling in line, they are maybe
True.
70% aligned, but the
True.
decision fatigue of the physician may prompt him to inadvertently write the same suggestion for the sixth patient also. And I think that's where maybe the AI could prompt that there is a 30% variation, and maybe a different line of approach could be taken for that particular patient, and that could immense a lot. Because I think particularly women's health, we have also seen a lot of side effects which are not measurable. For example, the emotional well-being, especially post miscarriages or any other such issues. Also, there's a lot of hormonal fluctuations that are involved. So there's a lot of mental changes, that emotional well-being and mental changes that are associated with the treatments. And that's where I think maybe counseling and helping them with the medication options can be something which can be very, very helpful.
Very true. As you rightly told, that when I talk about in terms of many gynecologists or many doctors, due to the paucity of time, correct, they are not able to interact much with the patients. And spending time with the patient is not only, it is beyond medication. It is not only about medication, how you counsel the patient, what is the mental state of the patient, that plays a very profound role to play. Suppose half of the job is done if you are counseling the patients, particularly adherence of the therapy, in terms of lifestyle modification, in terms of mental health. That is why nowadays you see every doctor, a good doctor, they have counselors in their clinics whom they want to spend, the patient want to spend some time. Because in a high-end practitioner having more than 50 patients for the day, they cannot spend about half an hour with a particular patient. Not possible, isn't it? So they have counselors they talk to, and this is where again AI comes in. If you give the all in terms of AI, it will help them in terms if you provide individual solution and a patient going through multiple problems, you put it, The output comes in, and you can, by regional languages going forward, they may provide customized solution for the patients that is required. And now that, as you rightly again told, the heavy doses that also confined, that when you talk about, it gives a indicator that you have treated such 5 patients, now 6 patient has particularly different in terms of indication, then the therapy again goes there, and how to treat them, it plays important role.
True. Definitely, pharma requires continuous learning because we are having more and more research coming out, not only from the AI perspective, but even from the R&D, pure drug discovery perspective. So, what resources or skills do you recommend for the future generation of professionals? So, we have in our audience a lot of students, researchers, and the young generation of brand managers who also listen to the podcast regularly as a part of their upskilling. So, what suggestions do you have for them so that they are up to the mark when it comes to global standards?
See, professionals should always invest in terms of learning and investing in self, which is important. Regularly updating themselves through participation in many knowledge sharing platforms. Many engaging platforms are also there. And very importantly, getting regular insight from the industry thought leaders. Because industry thought leaders should impart knowledge to the Gen Next to bring in a strong pipeline of marketeers or research persons down the line. Because unless and until we need to know which are the segment we should invest in, then only we can take it forward.
True. Thanks you for that suggestion. Finally, on a closing note, what is one key insight or philosophy that you live by in your professional journey that you would like to share with our audience today?
See, in terms of the most important insight for me, when I talk about self discipline, consistency, and being true to self, and always be a vivid learner. And these are the key attributes which takes you places and help us in a journey towards reaching the pinnacle. Because unless and until we are not disciplined, we cannot, in terms, we cannot come out with a definite solution. And consistency and self-discipline, which I rate in terms, these two things should always be taken forward.
Yeah, sure. So certainly easier said than done. Discipline inculcation has its own rewards, but requires continuous focus. So definitely it will help our audience to learn from your experience.
As it
So
is said, no, if you start doing anything for 21 days at a stretch becomes a habit,
it becomes a
right?
habit.
But starting it may be difficult, but once you start doing it, it falls into place. That's the thing.
So thank you so much, Mr. Ranjit, for joining us today's episode of the Pharma Marketing Playbook, Data, Gen AI, and beyond. Definitely, your journey, your insights, and expertise have been very inspiring, and we are sure our listeners have gained a lot of valuable perspective, specifically coming from the women's health, leadership, and how pharma marketing is evolving in that particular segment, and from your strategies for patient centric marketing and also the vision that you shared where the future marketeers should equip themselves on cross functional aspects looking from a patient first perspective, but also focusing on that human element, the touch of being there for your patient, that should never be lost. No matter how much technology we adopt, we should always at heart stay human. So this conversation definitely highlights that transformative power that as leaders we can bring in. So thank you once again for your valuable time. And to our listeners, we hope that you found this episode of the Pharma Marketing Playbook, Data, Gen AI, and beyond as enlightening as we did, gaining practical experience and perspective for how we can navigate this complex pharma landscape. Until next time, this is Saumya signing off. So stay curious, stay inspired, and keep learning. Keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in pharma marketing. Thank you once again, Mr. Ranjit Sahoo, for your valuable time and inputs, and we look forward to getting more valuable insights in future from you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Somya. Thank you. Thank you for a lovely time. Thank you. Let's work towards a healthier society and good health for all.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in this episode. We hope that the deep insights and knowledge shared today will help your business and brand grow by leaps and bounds. Remember to follow the podcast. And if you wish to know more about Multiplier AI solutions, please visit the links given in show notes.